The children of Indaiatuba in Brazil welcome you to the Motocross des Nations 1999, a mythical competition in the world of cross, closing the season in style. 100 kilometers from Sao Paulo, Indaiatuba is considered the Garden of Brazil, where the inhabitants of surrounding cities come to relax on weekends. This is the biggest fruit-producing region of Brazil and also a center for green tourism. In the Tupaguarani language, Indaiatuba means many palm trees. It's retained some of the colonial architecture of yesteryear, and even if it's become one of the industrial crossroads of Brazil due to its geographical location and international airport, where all goods entering the country pass through customs, Indaiatuba remains a peaceful haven. Whether from Latin America or Europe, more than 120,000 people, including a large Swiss colony, watch time go by from the peaceful hills here. The Paulo Yamakami Circuit, 2,000 meters around, is based on a constructor's test track and can host more than 20,000 spectators. With Alessio Chiodi, 1999 125cc world champion, and Andrea Bartolini, 1999 500 world champion, Italy takes on proud heirs entering into the Motocross des Nations. Each federation chooses the best 3 riders of the 125, 250 and 500cc categories for the open category, who battle it out over 3 heats. Just for you, we've organized a ride with the Italian rider Alessio Chiodi to discover the Indaiatuba circuit. From the saddle of his Husqvarna, Chiodi shows us how the 2 Yamaha riders choose their trajectories in the fastest parts of the circuit and the best approach speeds to jumps so as to fly low and lose a minimum amount of time. Sit back and let yourself be transported as we take it to the limit round the track.
I was in the right place, but I must have been the wrong time. My head was in a bad place, but I'm having such a good time. I've been running and trying to catch up in my mind. I got to give myself a good time this time. Just need a little brain salad surgery. Kill my insecurity. I was in the wrong place, but I must have been the right time. I was in the right place, but I must have been the wrong song. I was in the right band, but it seemed like the wrong line. I was in the right world, but it seemed like the wrong.
Of course, with 2 world champions this year, the Italian team are favorites for the MXDN, but it has to be said that victory in this sort of event comes from logistics, structure and top-line mechanical preparation. Around the paddock there are a couple of other countries that will give some stiff competition to the Italians. The first that comes to mind is France, who with Vilma, Tortelli and Fred Bolli are solid pretenders to the throne. (1998) 250 world champion Sebastian Tortelli, who left behind the World Tour for the American Championship, explains whether riding for his country in this very particular race calls for specific tactics.
That's the same thing as every other race. You just get on the starting gate and try to get a very good start and race your best and try to get your best results. You know, that's the only thing you can do. I mean, you know, race the best you can and try to be up there on top.
For Fred Bolli, who just won the world title in the 250 class, the MXDN is just as important as the World Championship.
The Motocross des Nations is like a continuation of the World Championship, like a 17th round. It's true I have the title, but it would be good to confirm today and tomorrow in this event which brings together the best riders in the world. So it's true that it's an important race for me.
From the Belgian camp, Stefan Everts in the 250cc category is in excellent form. He's the undisputed leader of the trio, completed by Patrick Kaps from the 125 category and Joel Smets in the open class. After his return at the end of the season following major injury at the start of the year, Stefan is highly motivated.
My comeback back to racing, I think, was pretty impressive, and I was really happy to win at least one GP. And now the second step is win this Nations. I know Joel is really motivated. He had a really bad season. He struggled with his bike, so he really wants to win a world title like me. And Patrick is also motivated. It's something big for him to have the chance to ride with us and to win a championship.
The open category lets us take a look at some pretty interesting machines, like the Huserberg, made by a sub-company of the KTM Group. Specialists in the field of enduro as well as cross, ridden by Joel Smets. Joel explains his philosophy and his vision of MXDN.
Motocross and Nations is really important for me because I'm quite a social guy, and it's the only time a year that we can really ride in a team race. And yeah, defending the colors of my country means really something special for me. The weekend of the Motocross of Nations, I feel more Belgian than, let's say, rider. So yeah, I'm really looking forward every year to compete in the Motocross of Nations. Well, different tactics, of course. The one and only real tactic is to go as fast as possible. But of course, depending on the results of the first race and the second race, of course, then in the third race, tactics become important, but that we will discuss afterwards.
Another major contender for the title is the United States, who with Wyndham, LaRocco and Carmichael have some aces up their sleeves.
She said the time is unfair to a woman her age. Now the wisdom has
The
come.
recent winner of the Grand Prix of the United States, the last of the MX250 season, Kevin Wyndham, explains the importance of MXDN to him.
It's definitely all about pride to come to this race for the Americans. Yeah, it's an honor to be picked out of our country. You know, only 3 of the riders get picked, so it's quite the honor, and you know, we take a lot of pride in this race, I guess.
She said her daddy had dreams.
The Grand Prix of the United States was his first confrontation on the track with riders from the world circuit, but he apparently wasn't surprised by their performance levels.
It was nice. They're very fast. I knew they were going to be fast going into it, so you know, I was a little nervous, but you know, I was glad to have won that race because you know, I know how good of riders they are, and I feel like it elevates my confidence.
A big name in the US Supercross game is that of the 125cc multi-champion Ricky Carmichael, who along with LaRocco are determined to make the Europeans bite the dust. After this break, we'll be back for some great action from the magic and unique Motocross des Nations. This great celebration of motocross gives us a chance to have a chat with the promoter of the World Championship, who's just come back from 15 days in the United States. Giuseppe Luongo looks back at an exceptional season.
Yeah, the exciting. It's every race was exciting because when you have in every race 4 or 5 riders in condition to win, and 2 riders still in the last heat, they fight, and you see they change many times. The first during the season, it's very great, and after we have a big media and television coverage this year, it was great.
So how does a Motocross des Nations unravel in comparison to a classic Grand Prix? And what's the future of world motocross at the dawn of the 3rd millennium? Wolfgang Schreb, president of the Federation's Motocross Commission, gives his point of view.
It's a competition of nations. We have the 3 best riders of each country taking part in this race. Here in Brazil we have 20 nations, and all of them have their top stars, if you want. and it'll be a great race. There's a lot of tactics in this event. The easiest tactic is always win the start and don't allow anybody to overtake you, but this might not be so easy. It's a team event where the whole team has to score. We have 6 results, and the 5 best results of each team count, so a little tactic is involved. I think we made a big progress over the last 2 or 3 years. The sport has reached now new heights. I think especially this year with these exciting races, we won millions of new friends worldwide because of the big TV coverage. We have one target, it's very simple to say. We want to be the #1 off-road sport in the world, and we work very hard for this.
A veritable Team World Cup, this Motocross des Nations is given particular attention by each federation. For Holland, it's John Vandenberg who has the heavy task of motivating the riders to work as a team.
It's always difficult because it's only one race, and for me it was already a problem to make a choice for the team, because in the last moment we live in Wessel, go very strong in the Grand Prix, so I need to make a change on the last moment. But the only thing what I do is try to make a team image and a good feeling together. And for this race it's very good for me because we are a long time in the plane together in the hotel, so we speak a lot, we eat together, and that's the main thing. Now you need to ride in a team, and normally you ride only for yourself. And that's the biggest difference in this race. But they know very good what they need to do, so I spoke yesterday and today, so it's going to be a team, and that's for me the most important thing.
The Motocross des Nations is a unique occasion to see the global aspects of the sport, with teams coming from countries like Slovenia, Croatia, or even Estonia. It's thanks to the passion held by the elders that the young riders can at least once a year come face to face with the world's elite. Only a lack of financial means prevents them from participating in the World Championship and at 16 Grand Prix per year. The young prodigy of the 250 class, Jus Lanzo, tells us about the popularity of motocross in his country.
It was bad, but now it's getting better. We have very many young riders who are very good. We have Aigar Leok, the European champion this year in 80cc, and his nephew, nephew Tanel Leok, who was 4th in the same competition.
A pleasant surprise in the paddock, the German team with a pit bearer not too down and out following his defeat in the 250 championship by French rider Fred Bolly. A championship which saw its climax in the final event of the season.
I think in the 250 class, like Fred and me, we had a lot of pressure till the last moment. So we are both happy that this racing is over now and we are free again to show our best without pressure. So I think tomorrow I'm gonna have a good race, easy race, relaxed race, and then normally you are better than if you are under pressure because you show the best you have, and so that's a nice situation to be again on this podium here with all the top stars from the world, and we meet the top American riders, we meet the top 500 riders, top 125 of course. So this is gonna be exciting racing tomorrow.
Second last year in this competition, the Finnish team made up of Klovinen, Gustafsson and Aaltonen. It has to be said that they were helped by the weather conditions, which turned the Fox Hill circuit that year into a quagmire. Conditions which suited the Finns down to the ground, being used to that sort of thing back home a lot of the time. So will the Brazilian sunshine be a problem for them? We'll find out in a few moments. For the Brazilian team, racing in the Motocross des Nations is above all an honor in the representation of their nation, rubbing shoulders with the best from around the world. The Brazilian 250 champion Rafael Ramos seems very moved by it all.
Very happy for being participating of this event. So, and then I'm happy also with all the team, Brazilian team, because it's my first time in Motocross the Nation, so I expect to do my best.
The Japanese are up there with them. From one year to the next, the Japanese teams have all the means necessary at hand to succeed, whether in the field of automobiles or motorcycle racing. Omnipresent in Formula One and rallying, in motorcycle road racing, as in enduro and motocross, the Japanese make the sports headlines every weekend throughout the year. To perfect their world cross culture, some Japanese riders head for foreign shores, like Takeshi Koikeda, who's been participating in the US Championship and who we might soon be seeing on the world circuit. For budgetary reasons, the New Zealand team, third last year, is absent this year, and the Australians are the only team here from that part of the world, determined to show what they're made of and that motocross is alive and kicking down under.
I think it's really good. You know, it's good to come overseas and compete against some of the best guys in the world. You know, I've just won the Australian Motocross Championships back home, and as I said, I feel really good, and it's a credit to be chosen to come over here and race against the best guys from United States and France and America and Europe. It's just really good, and I'm proud to be here.
As opposed to Grand Prix weekends, qualifying sessions for Motocross des Nations are like real mini races in themselves with a start from the grid. This means team managers and mechanics have to work even harder on preparation before the event, and the riders have to study approaches and trajectories during free practice. In the 125 category, the British rider James Dobbs on a Suzuki gets the best start and wins the heat. The American rider Ricky Carmichael on a Kawasaki, having taken the lead on the second lap, goes for a fall and lets Dobbs back through to win. Carmichael took the best lap time though on 2:18.097. The World 125 title holder Alessio Chiodi is disappointed with his performance. He comes in only third in qualifying. In the 250 category, the American Kevin Windham, riding a Honda, recent winner of the Grand Prix of the United States, puts in a faultless performance, taking the whole shot and leading from start to finish. He comes in ahead of the German Pit Behrer, free of the pressure of the World Championship and enjoying himself. The French rider Sébastien Tortelli, 250 world champion last year, is happy to see some of the old faces on the world circuit. After 2 months of convalescence, he's back in form, putting in the best lap time, 2:15.141. In the open category, bringing together 250 and 500cc machines, the Italian Andrea Bartolini on a Yamaha, helped by the power of his bike at the start, charges through for the whole shot and wins the heat ahead of Frenchman Fred Bolli, who puts in the best time on 2:15.017, and the American Mike LaRocco on a Honda. There you have it for the preparation of the Motocross des Nations. Stay with us after this break to see the clash of the Titans, the world's top motocross teams. We're back in Brazil for the 1999 Motocross des Nations. And coming out of qualifying, it's the United States who are at the top of the table thanks to a win by Windham, a second place for Carmichael and a third for LaRocco. The USA leads at this point from Italy, France, England, Germany and Holland. As is the custom before each start, the riders prepare their positions and mark their places on the grid. Then it's the moment of truth. Ultimate concentration, and for some, a round of the track in the mind's eye before launching into action on this track full of traps and tricky passages. This first round brings together two categories, the 125s and the open class, with a mixture of 250s and 500s. Bringing together the two cylinder sizes in one class stems from the fact that there's very little difference in speed between the 250s and 500s. The 500s, while they're more powerful, are also heavier and less agile. So the first heat brings together 125s and opens, then a second heat brings together the 125s and 250s, followed by a last round bringing together 250s and opens. But in this open category, each team is able to double up with another good 250 rider, allowing the teams to move back up in the rankings if one of their other riders didn't do well in one of the previous rounds. And they're off and racing for this first race, 30 minutes plus 2 laps, with a superb hole shot going to the Belgian rider Joel Smets riding a Husaberg. But hot on his heels, there's Andrea Bartolini on a Yamaha, followed by the rest of the field getting off to a clean start. But here at the entry to the chicane, there's a tangle holding up a number of riders. Joel Smets leads the field through the first lap, followed by Bartolini on a Yamaha, the Dutch rider Van Vessen on a Husqvarna, the German Eckenbach, Michael Byrne on a Honda, the Finnish rider Aaltonen, and the American Mike LaRocco on a Honda. For the so-called star riders like the Italian Alessio Chiodi, things are not going too well. Starting from 14th place on the grid, he goes down in the part of the circuit that took most water overnight and is too slippery for the liking of many. Joel Smets riding a Husaberg leads comfortably and even seems to be pulling away from Bartolini riding a Yamaha. Bartolini also seems to be pulling away himself from the Dutch rider Van Vessel, him on a Husqvarna. As we can see here, a lot of the track's been flooded by too much watering during the evening, and the riders in this first heat are finding out all about it, like Joel Smets, who in the second lap goes for a slide, having gone too high on the bank to avoid the duck swamp. Joel's just able to get back into the running ahead of the Dutch rider Vessel, but too late with regard to Bartolini, who's gone through into the lead. The Finnish rider Aaltonen on a Yamaha got off to a good start from 6th place on the grid, but he fell heavily in the second lap while he was battling it out with Mike LaRocco. He's doing his best to come back up now from 27th place in the field. Andrea Bartolini no longer has any pressure from Smets. He flies around the track in an attempt to dig a big enough gap to make life more comfortable for the rest of this first heat. His Yamaha 500 is absolutely lapping up the conditions of the track, even if his top speed's lower than some of the 250s. Smets is working his way back up towards the lead after an unfortunate mistake there earlier on. Following his problem in the second lap, the Belgians changed the line he's taking in the hairpin, taking it now on the outside. For several laps now, the French Honda rider Bolli, World 250cc champion this year, has been riding in 6th position just behind Michael Byrne from Australia, him also on a Honda. The battle's raging between these two. It's easy to see that Bolli doesn't feel very much at ease on this part of the track, much too slippery for his liking. Other interesting battles developing in this pack. It's the time for the 10th place now. The English rider Dobbs and the Brazilian Lopez and the Finn Vevelainen, followed by the French rider Villemain, who had a poor start. Meanwhile, the battle's still raging between the Australian Byrne and the Frenchman Bolli, virtually level pegging. The Australian fights off the attacks of the 1999 250cc champion, but Byrne isn't taking account of the incredible motivation of the French rider. And Bolli finally manages to get past the Australian in the 7th lap. For the other Australian in the 125cc category, Troy Dorm, things aren't going too well. This incident will cost him 11 places in the general classification from this heat. The American Carmichael, having started from 28th position on the grid, has a lot of trouble working his way back up through the field and falls several times. He'll end up in 27th position after a stop in the pits to change his tailpipe, damaged in a fall. The other American, Mike LaRocco, on a Honda, is doing well for himself. Starting off 7th place on the grid, he slips back to 9th, but he's working his way back up through the field with moves like this one on the Japanese rider Koikeda on the 11th lap. In the pack, things are hotting up through every corner. The race is on to see who can be the best placed Latin American team. The French rider David Villemar is running hot as well. He's working back up through the field, making short work of riders like the Finn Veiviläinen, while the other French rider Bolli is now in 4th place. He's shadowed by the American Mike LaRocco on a Honda, who's forcing the pace. Bolli knows the French team's counting on him to do well, especially taking into account problems for Villemar, who broke his gear lever yesterday in practice. Fred's a battler and has what it takes to head back to France, if not with a victory, at least with a place of honor, even if the season's been difficult for him due to pressure in the race for the world title. Fred isn't able to make up enough ground on the 3rd place holder, and he'll have to put up with running 4th through to the end of the race. Third place will go to the excellent Dutch rider Willy van Wessel, who put in a faultless performance on his Husky 500. He got the better of what were very tricky conditions, with Joel Smets in 2nd place. 19 seconds ahead of him, Van Wessel is happy with 3rd place. Speaking of Joel Smets, here he is on a Husaberg number 3, and despite his slide early in the race, he got the best from the power to weight ratio of his machine on this muddy circuit. He could perhaps have pushed harder to come back up on Bartolini, who's 11 seconds ahead, but the Motocross des Nations is above all a team event, and Joel prefers to assure a solid 2nd place with a good result for Belgium. The winner is this man, Andrea Bartolini, on a Yamaha, who lives up to the pride of the Italians coming into this event, giving his home country the number 1 place in the heat and the provisional classification for this Cross World Cup. He's put in a near-perfect performance, taking advantage of every opportunity, especially that of Smets falling, offering him the lead on a silver platter. Italy leads the table ahead of France, Holland, England, Germany, Japan and Belgium.
It's good race because I have the good start, because in this track very difficult to pass rider. But Smets the 2nd lap he have one mistake in the corner and me I pass, and I think easy for winner because every laps I go 1 second more fast, and I think it's good race.
Coming up, the 125s come back on the track along with the stars of the 250 category. We're back for the 1999 Motocross des Nations with the stars coming out. The stars of the 250 category, that is, including the fabulous 4-times world champion Stefan Everts and Patrick Caps riding for Belgium, winners here last year. There's the American Ricky Carmichael, who we already saw in his 125 in the first heat, the British rider Malin, and the Dutch rider Leon Gispers. From Finland, there's Kovalainen. From Italy, Federici. France is represented by Tortelli, and there's the American rider Wyndham back out there as well. And they're off and racing now in the second moto. 30 minutes of MXD in action between 125 and 250 machines. This time with a superb hole shot going to Stefan Everts, going to show that he's right back in top form. Everybody gets off cleanly. There are no problems in the pack as 40 of the best riders in the world lunge forward on, luckily, what appears to be a much drier track than before. Everts is holding an easy lead for the moment ahead of a trio of Honda riders, Sebastian Tortelli, Josep Alonso and Kevin Wyndham. Flying out in the lead, Everts glances back at his immediate follower Sebastian Tortelli, his arch rival in 1998, and revenge is in the air. Tortelli is followed by Alonso, the young Finnish rider Kavalainen, the German Pit Bearer, and the American Kevin Wyndham. He's the king of the jumps, Stefan Everts and his disciples, here putting on a great show of talent, showing just how extraordinary motocross can be, a really unique discipline in the motorcycle world. Stefan Everts showing how it's done here. He's pushing his weight ahead for perfect control. Here running ahead of Tortelli, Alonso, followed by Wyndham, Bearer, McFarlane and Kavalainen, who's been held back. A classic incident in Grand Prix and something that can always end up as a major pileup like this with the German Jastinski, the Slovakian Jelen, the Estonian Lanso and the Spaniard Patricio. For Ricky Carmichael, this Motocross des Nations has turned into a nightmare with another fall, a number of others getting tangled up, and one rider's unable to avoid riding over the top of his bike. He's forced to retire from the running. In the lead and under pressure from Sebastian Tortelli, Stefan Everts is running at a hellish pace, still keeping the trajectories very clean, while in the pack running battles are going on all over the place, like here with the British rider Paul Mallon getting tangled up with the Slovakian Krageli. It's a battle of the titans for these two exceptional riders, Everts and Tortelli. A reminder of the final of the World 250cc Championship in Greece in 1998. Two styles of riding which are totally different. Stefan is flying right over the top of all the traps of the circuit, while Tortelli plows through them as if they're not there. The pace is extraordinary, and we're also seeing Pit Bearer making a good comeback right now. He's on the heels of the leaders. He's come to Brazil for results. We're on the fourth lap now and Tortelli goes for a sixer. Tortelli in the big downhill has done one of the most spectacular tumbles we've seen in a long time in motocross. But he's able to get back and keep going. Incredible. In this slow motion replay, we can see exactly what happened as Tortelli sets off balance when the front wheel hits a rut and both he and the machine go tumbling. Luckily, there's no harm done for Sebastian, although with a number of spokes broken in the accident, he'll have to make a wheel change in the pits. The result for Tortelli will be highly disappointing, 36th place, but that's the name of the game. Sebastian's teammate for the weekend, Fred Bolly, doesn't want to miss his chance to encourage his comrades. Stefan Everts is still in the lead, but he's still under pressure from behind. Now from the American rider Kevin Wyndham, who has to do better than anyone else, especially after the problem for his teammate Carmichael, who abandoned, resulting in a drop for the American team in the rankings. As we can see, Stefan has a very smooth style as opposed to the more chaotic style of Kevin, who's riding to the limit of his capabilities. For Spain and Australia, things are going very well indeed thanks to Alonso and McFarlane. They're fighting out amongst themselves for 3rd and 4th place. After having been passed on the 6th lap by the Australian, Alfonso slips and falls in the hairpin where many others have already gone down. The Dutch rider Giespers and the Finn Kavalainen seize the chance and go through into 4th and 5th place. Alonso gets back into the running in 9th place. Stefan Everts on a Honda is prancing out in the lead now ahead of Wyndham, the American. The distance is comfortable all the same. This doesn't prevent Everts from beating the track record with a time of 2:15.354. Stefan, absolute master of the track, has perfected the performance of man and machine. His suspension seems to carry his bike from one jump to the next with unbelievable ease. We're back up now with the German rider Pit Behrer on Kawasaki number 17. He was off to a good start from the 5th place on the grid, and he's currently running 3rd. Here also Tortelli on Honda number 35 in 7th place, followed by Behrer on the Kawasaki in 8th position. These two riders are having a great show for the fans. This is up until a second pit stop for Tortelli, leaving 7th place clear for Behrer, who has his sights set now on the Italian rider Federici on the Yamaha in 6th place, not too far ahead. Too involved in his own fury to get ahead, Pit Behrer makes the same mistake as a number of other riders, missing the brakes in the hairpin and getting caught in a rut which has formed here. Extremely agile, he manages to keep going without losing too much time. 2 laps later, Behrer gets what he wants, the 6th place being held by Federici. He also goes on to pass 5th place Kavalainen from Finland. Another battle's being fought out for 3rd place between Giespers on the Suzuki and McFarlane on the Yamaha. This has been going on for some laps now, and here in the long curve, the Dutchman manages to get the upper hand. The Australian isn't out for the count though, and he stays hot on the heels of Giespers, showing that Australia has its rightful place in the Motocross des Nations. Giespers 3rd, McFarlane 4th in the 2nd moto. For Everts on the Honda, closely followed by Wyndham, the last lap, just like the first, is run at top pace, each one waiting for the other to put one wheel out of line, but nothing of the sort happens. And the Belgian rider takes the 2nd race ahead of the American, who was lacking a bit of luck, among other things, in having Everts in front of him. Everts, after such a disappointing year due to injury, has proven his talent yet again, and the whole Belgian motorcycle community is no doubt proud of this sort of performance. It's Everts taking the victory ahead of Wyndham and Giespers.
Good start, and the race went pretty well towards the end. At the end I had so many lap riders, and I think still a lot of the lap riders don't know what the blue flag means, and think they should inform the riders more better. But for the rest, you know, the race went good. Yeah, like I said, at the end it was kind of difficult for me.
Italy remains at the top of the table, but Holland slips into 2nd position. England is 3rd, Belgium 4th, France 5th. Germany is 6th and Japan 7th. Anything could happen in the third race. All stops will be after the victory. Don't miss it. Coming up after the break. The revenge for some, the last chance for others. The third race in this Motocross des Nations is shaping up to be a great one, with names like Bira, La Rocco, Giespers, Windham, Cavalanen, Tortelli, Federici and all the others. It's now or never to get the top points, to make up for time lost in the previous race and to get the team to the top of the rankings. For this last moto, it's the 250 boys up against the open class, 2 strokes and 4 strokes side by side, bringing together Husqvarnas, Yamahas, KTMs and Husbergs in the third act of the play to decide the champion of all nations. And they're off and racing, and for some this is the last chance to shine for their country. The whole shot's a 4-stroke symphony from the Italian Andrea Bertolini on the Yamaha. He's running ahead of a very motivated Belgian team in the shape of Joel Smets on the Husaberg and Stefan Everts on the Honda. It's a power struggle in this first lap between Smets and Bartolini, and one gets the impression that from one second to the next, one or the other's going to get the upper hand and the better line. But Bartolini holds out and keeps the lead of this third heat. It's Bartolini, Smets and Everts, a purely European match among the front runners. Bartolini's in the lead ahead of Smets, Everts, Van Vessel, Windham, Bolly and the rest of the field. Into the second lap now, and the pack's still very close-knit, keeping things wide open in this Motocross des Nations, where anything can happen as long as you're in the right place at the right time. Bartolini in the lead, confirming that the 500 was the best machine for the start. This being said, it's not sure whether it's the best bike for the circuit. To the contrary, we can see that the 500s, heavier and harder to handle, aren't having an easy time distancing the 250s, headed by Everts and putting up savage resistance. These aerobatic daredevils take their machines right to the limit on every jump, the extraordinary side of this sport. Track's been drying quite well now, and as we can see in the hairpin, which had taken so many victims in the earlier stages, now the problem's starting to come from dust, making visibility difficult for riders who have close calls in the corners with occasional tangles like here between Van Vessel and Herring. Belgium's making a rearguard assault on Italy, pushing it to the limit. Those behind can't keep up the pace, and these 3 riders are pulling away from the rest of the pack. The title's at stake between the Italians and the Belgians at this level of competition. For the rest, the order's changing all the time in the pack, very compact, and Caesar peaks on Kawasaki number 63, finds out about it the hard way. The pictures speak for themselves, with all the talent of Everts, who manages not to let the 400 of Bartolini and the 500 of Smets get too far ahead. They're out there for the competition, but what a show for the fans here at the Motocross des Nations. Giespers from Holland has a tangle, otherwise he's been running exceptionally well in this race, moving up through the field. He started from 25th place, now he's running 13th. In the lead, all's going well for the three pretenders to the throne. Smets is still putting a lot of pressure on Bartolini, while Stefan Everts is approaching the duo in the lead, proving that what he said after the second round has found its mark with other riders that he'd been accusing of blocking his way while overtaking with the blue flag out. Into the fifth lap now, and there's a spot of drama with Joel Smets having some sort of a problem here on the downhill. He lets his teammate Stefan Everts past and comes to a halt in the corner. The verdict is a tough one. A fuel line that's been cut by a stone, meaning the end of the line for Belgium's chances for the coveted title. This incident puts an abrupt end to the 1999 Grand Prix season for Joel Smets, for whom this isn't the first incident of its kind. More than once he's broken down while on the road to victory. Everts, given new impetus by this incident, puts in an incredible performance, slamming back up on Bartolini. It looks like an interesting battle's developing between the Italian and the Belgian. Lap after lap, Everts assesses the trajectories of his opponent and approaches inexorably. Here in the eighth lap, Everts is ready to launch his first attack. This exchange is superb between two great champions, Everts on a Honda 250 and Bartolini on a Yamaha 400. But on a track like this, the two machines are on virtually level pegging. The ninth lap will be the good one for Stefan as he powers down around the big curve at the end of this downhill and thunders through past Bartolini. It's Everts first, Bartolini second. For Everts, keeping the lead in this third race will be virtually a formality. Fred Bonny here on Honda number 35, who we hadn't seen a lot of up till now. He's running third, propping up the French side, which hadn't been going too well. Tortelli is currently running fifth behind Federici on a Yamaha, but he isn't satisfied with his performance, especially after his incredible tumble in the first race. He's set on passing Federici, knowing that a podium finish is possible for the team, following the Belgian team's misfortune in losing Smets. As for Everts, Tortelli passes Federici in the big curve at the bottom of the downhill run in the 11th lap. Tortelli is now fourth, much to the joy of the French. And what a brave performance from the French team. Everts takes a look back over his shoulder to get a better idea of how much he's leading by. His immediate follower has let the pressure off, knowing full well that if status quo remains, his team will win the title. For Stefan Everts, even if he wins this race, he'll feel like he's let down the side. After a disastrous Grand Prix season following his accident, he absolutely wanted to win the Motocross des Nations 99, as he did last year. But there are many factors beyond control, like mechanical breakdown, to which his teammate Smets fell victim. Stefan Everts is victorious in this final moto ahead of Bartolini, Bolli, Tortelli, Federici, La Rocco, McFarlane, Mullen and Kevin Windham. Italy wins its first Motocross des Nations. France is second on the table, followed by Belgium, the USA, England, Holland and Spain.
Andrea, very good race. It's a great day for Italy. First win in the Motocross Nation. You make a really strong race in the second race.
Yeah, because the second hit I have good start, but for beginning 15 minutes I push, but Evers he go more fast and after a little bit tired, but very good because the first time Italy winner and very happy. This year 2 times.
You were not too nervous in the last laps?
No, because I have many slow riders and very difficult to pass, but I'm very happy. Good.
An entirely European podium, largely Latin to boot, for this 1999 edition of the Motocross des Nations. A symbolic podium with no less than 7 world champions and 15 titles between them, proving that motocross is a true osmosis, bringing together talent with the will to succeed. Capping off a superb MX season that we certainly won't forget for a long time.